Hello, hello, hello. I am back and I'm here with two amazing guests. It's Rene Byrd for Hera Group Media and Who Am I Talk. And I'm here with Lucia. She is the co-founder of TBTM Studios, TBTM Studios, and Derek, who is the founder. They are both based in New York, which is a beautiful city. And I'm so excited to have them on the show today. We've got so much to talk about their venture, what they're up to, life in COVID, actually. I want to find out how they're doing, because I think it's really important to know people are well and anything they want to share. So thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having us. And I should be clarify, we're actually in Dubai right now.
Oh, you're in Dubai?
Yeah, we're in Dubai. We just got here a couple months ago. We're from New York and Ghana. She's proper New York bred, but we're living in Dubai now.
That's amazing. And what is it like in Dubai? I've been, gosh, that was in 2015, I think.
Oh, wow.
Just time ago.
Yeah. It's blowing up. Things are moving and changing so fast. I grew up partially in the Middle East, and I've been to Dubai when I was a kid, and then coming for business as an adult. And I just feel like it's like the crossroads of the world. A lot of things are happening, and everything passes through Dubai.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of things. Everyone's going over there because it's so much. It's incredible, isn't it? It's an innocent city. And I'm going to just circle back, and it's always good to find out your story. So if you could, between you both, share me your story, how you got into the industry that we're going to talk about in more detail. I'd love to share.
Okay, so I'm Lucia Brawley, co-founder of TBTM Studios and the chief creative officer. And my road here was long and windy. I started out as a ballerina, and then I became an actress. I went to Harvard undergraduate, Yale School of Drama for my MFA in acting, then had the privilege to work with people like Oliver Stone, Viola Davis, Angela Bassett, theater, television, film, New York, LA, Europe, but somehow got swept up in the Obama campaign and organized a group of 2 people that grew to 1,000 people and then 2,000 people volunteering for Obama. And we won for him in our congressional district by the largest margin in the California primary. And through that, got recruited by Arianna Huffington to write for the Huffington Post and then CNN.com. And along the way, met this wonderful fellow and was very inspired by his vision. We shared a lot in common in terms of seeing art and arts education as a tool for social change, especially for young people. And so I decided to bring my background together to help him build movements around great content.
Incredible. And Derek, talk to me.
Awesome. So I'm originally from Accra, Ghana, and I was raised there as well as in New York, as well as in the Middle East. And I also went to Harvard as an undergraduate. My career was at the intersection of entertainment and technology, got to work with a number of luminaries in the entertainment space, from, multi-platinum record producers to luminaries like Oprah Winfrey and Steven Spielberg, and also was able to build media assets with major media companies reaching over 300 million households around the world. And at a certain point, realized that there needed to be a different relationship between the creators and the consumers. Nobody knows who's watching their content, and the major platforms will tell you how many watch, but they won't tell you who they are. So how could you build a solution that would let me as a creator build a direct, ongoing relationship with my fans and still respect their privacy? That was quite a challenge. So we recruited some folks that we knew from Harvard and from Google, and we built this company. And in a nutshell, TBTM Studios is the first studio built on a blockchain. It is structured to have the technical infrastructure to deal with distribution, analytics, payments, rewards, and actual production of high-end content targeting global youth audiences and letting their voices be heard in the content that is distributed through the platform.
That's amazing. So your motivation behind the Take Back the Mic was for the young people? It was broader than that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's accessible to anybody. Like, we try to build stuff where, for the most part, our first media asset that we launched was a project called The Mic. which came out of Take Back the Mic.
Right.
And it basically is something that I could watch with, you know, my kids or my mom, right? My dad could sit there, my daughters could sit there, and it would be all good. Because we wanted to do stuff for the next generation, but we wanted it to be open, something that was going to represent the best of our cultures around the world. So we created this format, the mic, which is like if you had a competition show with a travel show, and you're going to see and discover the world through the eyes of the hottest up and coming dancers, singers, DJs, MCs. We tested in Latin America, got 2 Emmy nods for Outstanding Interactive Program. Then we released it on TV last year in Africa. You know, first 6 countries went super well, went to 10 countries and won a global Telly Award, gold and silver, up against the biggest companies in the media industry. So it's now becoming a thing, and we have a lot of really cool stuff that comes from there. At the core, we're a tech company, but we build tools that empower the future of media for the audiences of the future.
That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people, it's after you, Lucia.
No, I was just going to say, and we just got the warmest welcome to Dubai because we were awarded the International Innovative Media Award at the Murex D'Or Awards, which is like the Oscars of the Middle East. And so, yeah, that was just in our first couple months in Dubai. So we were very grateful.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I tell you, the whole digital space has just exploded. You know, who was to even know we was to go through something so traumatic, but that would actually, in a horrible way, but it would pivot and help the world to be so much more exposed than before. You know, how much more of a reach that you would have and how much availability. So much people were insular, were not able to really see what was happening on the landscape. And I'm really excited to see even further beyond on what we're doing. You know, what do you think? I'm trying to navigate, you know, NFTs, blockchain. Where's it all going to go, and what's the future? It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we think that the future is going to be quite fascinating, very exciting. It's going to move extremely fast. I think that what we're seeing happening in the blockchain space is just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of what's happened is you have people who have deep technical backgrounds building solutions for the world. But when it comes to how they deal with media assets, you don't usually have, or at least haven't, had people who had a deep understanding of the industry participating in the process. So there are a lot of issues when you look at some of the systems that are currently out there. You now have a whole lot of people in the entertainment industry taking the tech side much, much more seriously than they used to.
Yes,
and it's about time, right? And so you have a lot of folks that are building blockchain-related solutions that have deep understanding of the need state within various verticals across the entertainment industry. And so those solutions, from our perspective, are much more robust. Some people are trying to do stuff, you know, for the entirety of the planet, and that's all good too. But where we're interested is what happens when you really don't try to build the next Bitcoin. We're not trying to build the next Ethereum. We're trying to build really robust solutions for a $1 trillion industry. And if you do that effectively, then all of a sudden the way in which fans are rewarded, the way in which they engage, the way in which they can participate creatively, economically, the value of their engagement and how that value is shared and realized, and the opportunity for artists to effectively monetize their talent in ways that are secure and transparent. All of that is still coming down the pike. And we think it's going to be extremely powerful and transformative, where we're going to start to hear from not only new voices, but hear from them at a higher level. And that's what's exciting for us.
Wow. That's amazing, guys. I mean, when you start thinking of where it was, you know, from a record and where it is now, you know, people were trying to get their head around streaming, and now it's moved into a whole different sphere. Right. And even being an artist, you know, it's so hard for us to previously earn money. Now the world is our oyster. We can now be out there.
100%. And even today, you know, certain platforms are very popular, very robust. But once you start looking at the unit economics of how the artists are compensated for the amount of engagement they drive, it's not that good, you know? Right. And it's become a sort of a fait accompli, or just the accepted, you know, facts on the ground that, yeah, you put your content on these platforms They're going to drive ad revenue, and you're not going to see much of it.
That's correct.
And that's just the way it is because they invest in the platform. And what we think is interesting is as you start having these more decentralized models, there's a lot of really interesting ways in which artists, creators, fans can collaborate, connect, engage, and build community in ways that are mutually beneficial. And that, I think, is more the future. It doesn't mean that there won't still be big players in the industry. It means that more people will begin to realize a benefit from being participants, not just the product.
Totally agree. I mean, what's even exciting is now we have so many variants of music, and I've seen a literally explosion on the Afro beats market, obviously the Latin market, where people didn't realize that the musicians and the musicianship that comes out of those demographics is out of this world.
Oh, wow.
And I remember a family member who's also in the music industry said the biggest act will come from Africa. And look what we're seeing. Look what we're seeing.
And I think it's just the beginning too. I mean, what you've pinpointed is so right, because what you're talking about is actually ancient, right? People, period, but culture and music comes from Africa originally. And then all the coolest music around the world has its origins in Africa, everything from samba, salsa, rap, rock and roll, jazz, you name it, right? So, but now, like you say, there's this cross-pollination between cultures, right? The Africa has influenced the world, but then hip hop and Latin music are influencing African music, and you see it in Afro beats. Yes. And then Afro beats is typically West African, right? But what we're discovering through the mic, through our show and our platform, is there's so much diverse talent across the continent, and it's crazy what you see, because you see these hip hop heads in Morocco rapping in Arabic and French, and then bringing in an Afrobeat sound in Arabic like you've never heard before, or kids in Tanzania who rap like they come from Brooklyn, and like there's just like so much talent across I mean, you have artists in Rwanda, who can rap and sing, but you just wouldn't believe the talent across the continent, North, South, East, West, and Central Africa. And I can't wait for the world to discover some of those artists too.
I totally agree. I think you're right. There has been normally a push on one area of Africa, but Africa is so enriched, isn't it, with talent and the sounds and the different dialects, so the different sounds and how they present. And as you said, that must be really interesting to hear someone sounding like they're from America, and you're like, no, they're not. So it just shows again this amazing.
Yeah, and something I would add is, so these kids sound like they're from Brooklyn. She's right. They'll like flow in like 2 or 3 different languages.
Yeah.
Wow.
They'll just switch to Swahili.
So all of a sudden you realize that, oh, wait, hold up. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I've seen this kid rapping in English, Swahili, and Spanish like it was nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, see?
Absolutely.
So it's a very interesting time. Mm-hmm. And, being from Ghana, I'm looking at Africa as the next engine of global cultural growth.
Absolutely.
I think there's so much that's coming from the continent right now, but there's so much in the wings. Like you see the energy and the level of talent and just waiting for the infrastructure to really blossom. And that's kind of what we're interested in, is providing that kind of infrastructure and partnering with all kinds of other people that are doing so. And, having left the US and being, first in Mauritius, now in Dubai, back and forth to the continent, working with teams all across East, West, Southern, North Africa, it is absolutely mind-blowing what's going down. And I think it is going to, in the next 5 years, you're going to see a whole different perception of the continent based upon the way in which we tell our own stories.
And I just want to speak about Take Back the Mic and your content. What did you decide to create your own original content to be featured on the platforms? So when did this conceptualization happen?
This is a great question. So like I said, we started out on the technology side and we were just, working on engineering solution. We thought it was going to be a SaaS, a software as a service, to help people better understand and engage with their audience. And then we built the alpha product and we're like, oh, wow, check this out. And we're like, wait, there's nothing for people to see. They can't see what it actually does. We're like, okay, we got to do something to demonstrate it. And we're like, well, this is a solution that serves the entertainment industry. So why don't we create a show that kind of showcases it? And so we created this little web series. And it was all about how do you discover the streets of a city through the eyes of an artist. And the audience will use our platform to cast the show and curate and pick 3 artists to be in the show. And then one of them will represent the country. And we started with Rio, Medellin, and Kingston, right? Brazil, Colombia, and Jamaica. And literally 9 artists, incredibly gifted. And then the audience selected those 9, then selected the top artists from each of the 3 countries. And we sent them to Miami to, you know, kick it on stage in Miami Beach with a Grammy-winning DJ and the whole 9. Yeah. And literally that was just to show like, look, this platform works. It can discover talent. It can draw the audience in. It can reward the audience, create an incentive structure, and help you understand how people are engaging. And then we got an Emmy nomination. We were an Emmy finalists for Outstanding Interactive Program. You know, got beat by Taylor Swift.
As you do.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to shake it off. Shake it off.
All right, it's all right though, because you know what? The fact that you got it, and I'm telling you, the next time is yours. It's yours.
Amen.
I'm going to speak it out there.
Amen. I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
right?
we believe.
Well, and it was such a beautiful thing though, because we were like, oh wow, like not only does the tech work, but the content is compelling and engaging. And that's how we started to expand our understanding of what this could be. And then a few years ago, we got into this program that's run by Google for entrepreneurs called Google Demo Day. And they pick like, you know, top like 10 or 11 startups in the Western Hemisphere and run them through this little accelerator program. And they ran us through it. And coming out of it, basically, we realized like through the support of the team at Google that this could be a platform play. And once we started thinking along those lines, everything changed. And it was like, if we're going to do this, then we have to go where we think that platform can have the best chance to succeed and blow up. And that's why we came to Africa. So when we talk about a show like the Mic Africa was to introduce the TBTM platform, which is, you know, out of beta now. It launched in November. And it really showcases a beautiful way, not only to discover the world through the eyes of artists, but also to reward the fans for discovering talent. And it starts with music, but it goes much, much further. And that's what's going to be rolling out over the course of the next year or 2.
That's incredible. And Lucia, well, what does it mean when you say the TBTM Studios turns culture into currency? What does that mean? I mean, I think Derrick explained it, but that's
no, I mean, it's everything he said. And to me, what it means is the people who have historically created culture have often not shared in the profits, right? If you think of the young people of color around the world who create the music, the fashion, the slang, the gestures, you name it, right? Are they the ones who profit from it? No, right? Generally, they are not the ones who profit from setting those trends that are then followed around the world. So basically, the point of our platform is to remunerate those creators and fans who are setting the new trends for their contribution to our larger culture, right? And so that's why we always say we're upgrading them from product to participant in the value chain that they create. You know, we don't steal their ideas and their IP and their data and sell it and enrich ourselves off of them. We invite them into the ecosystem and empower, uplift, promote, and remunerate them with our blockchain solution and things like mobile data rewards and other opportunities like Derrick has mentioned. And that way they are actually getting something for what they contribute. Wow.
Yeah, makes so much sense. And so much people in the creative world, you know, they're just, as you said, left in the background, and their talent is in the forefront and they're not given what's required. So what you guys are doing is exactly what's needed, without a shadow of a doubt, you know. Wow. I was just thinking back to how the old days of music, and now we're here, you know, and there was points when you could think, would I ever get the notoriety? Would I ever get the respect, and you guys have put a platform together where you're actually empowering artists, creatives, and it's so important. It's incredible.
Thank you. And no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we can see it even in these early days of, building our startup, because it's so, like Derrick said, when we had the Miami finale, seeing the artists and the fans get to go to Miami and have their big moment. But then we have these amazing artists that we've discovered through the platform in the townships of South Africa, or, from Tanzania, or from Mushin in Lagos, Nigeria. And you're just seeing these artists from places that have been overlooked. And they're now, through doing our program, they're getting on billboards in Times Square and getting to be seen by millions of people in Times Square, but around the world, because of course Times Square is filmed, I don't know how many times a day. Absolutely. So it's really powerful to watch that trajectory.
Wow. And they must be overwhelmed, because, people listening have to understand that in some emerging markets, they call it, in Africa, in parts of Latin America, they're in situations which are far less than the Western world. And you see how humbled you are when you see the most basic things we take for granted they don't have. And for them to then be given the opportunity to share their talent to the masses, where they feel they're forgotten, it's incredible. You have no idea what it does to the environment. Am I right, Derrick?
Absolutely. And I think that is real. And on the flip side, what also happens is once you start to see the places where these artists come from, like there's so much flavor, there's so much culture, there's so much vibes. I remember the first season, people were like, yo, I never knew Rwanda was so hot. I'm like, I'm trying to tell y'all, Kigali where it's at. Y'all don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Now you know. If you don't know, now you know. It's like, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the things that's super, super fresh. And I think is very important, is that the continent has not had the right storytelling, because we know about some of the things that are lacking, but we don't know where about some of the resources and the power that's there. And something I say to a lot of my friends is that, we perceive Africa as poor. And Africa is dealing with real issues, but that's because it is arguably the richest place on planet Earth. Yeah. And because of that, it's been exploited for centuries. Yeah. And so now we're coming to a different moment where a whole generation of Africans are like, nah, let's try this a different way. And we're realizing that the greatest resource we have may not be the one you dig up out of the ground, but it's what comes up out of the soul and out of our minds. And it's in cultivating those resources that we start to change the way we see the continent. And as you change the way you see the continent, you change the way we see ourselves, the way other people see us, and you start to have a different kind of conversation about what is culture, what is opportunity, what are the ways in which we can engage through mutual respect and opportunity, rather than the previous charity model, which leaves you decades under charity, no progress, right? I just think that a lot of us want something different, and we're demanding it, and we're making it happen, regardless of the ways that things work.
No, I love that. You're right. The visuals that are exploded on the media is not what Africa is. It is abundance.
That's right.
Actually, more than you can imagine. It's only when you go there and you see and you're like, hold on a second here. So it's important. You're putting out the right stories, and this is what you are doing with Take Back the Mic. You're actually sharing and showing the world. This is, as you said, the colors, the vibrancy of what they come from and what they're presenting, and the musical genres. People will start to really respect the Western music and know the nuances and where it's really come from. Sometimes, I sit with my dad and he's a musician and he's like, yeah, that's such and such from Africa. And I'm like, really, Dad? He can go back in the archives. Yes. Know that. Is that right?
Yeah. And people don't see those correlations. Musicians know it, but the general public doesn't. No. And when you think about what's happening, like, I feel like music is such a powerful way of bridging the gap between people. So even though we know music is where we've begun, we've already started doing things that expand beyond that, and we'll announce more of them later, but it's always going to be at the core. Why? Because it's a language that speaks to your soul, from one soul to another. And it is universal, and it's extremely powerful. And it gives you the opportunity to just, imagine the world differently. And I think that the level of creativity that comes from the continent, and when we do things like the Mic Africa, it's not just like singers, it's singers and rappers and dancers and DJs and graffiti artists and painters. I mean, it's incredible. And so once you take that cultural perspective and push it forward with the right presentation, people then perceive themselves and others differently. And that's where things start to get interesting.
Yes, and you took the words out of my mouth too, because I was really thinking about that universal aspect and how, you know, also in music, there's often been sort of an Anglo-centric bias, right? And maybe in recent years, we started to get more Spanish music too.
Absolutely.
Por supuesto.
Por supuesto. But what I've really, one of many things I've loved discovering in our show is that, you know, we have artists singing and rapping in Arabic, like I said, in French, in, you know, eventually to be Portuguese, but you also have it in Wolof, Ga, Twi, you know, and Yoruba and Igbo and Swahili and Zulu, you know, the variety of South African languages. And so the funny thing is, you think, oh, well, if I don't understand what they're saying, I'm not going to enjoy it as much. Not true. Once the beat drops and they start doing their thing, you are with them. You don't even care. You know what they're saying, even though you don't know what they're saying.
You start learning the language, huh? You start learning that chorus.
Absolutely. And what happens is you could tell if somebody's got flow, even if you don't know what they're saying, you can feel it. You know, you the whole vibes, it's like, wow. And so I think that that's going to be really fascinating from our perspective as we continue to grow what we're doing. And, you know, we start in Latin America, then we built for scale in Africa, but we're planning to expand to more places and continue to build these communities across borders.
I think you know, I was going to ask you a question about what made you decide to headquarter in business in Africa and Dubai, but I think you've kind of answered that. It's because of exactly the expansion in the digital world and the tech world. Where would you also want to go? I mean, obviously Africa, you're thinking of China, you know?
Honestly, I'm thinking about a few different places, but like if I had my druthers, I'm definitely marching into India and holding hands with some amazing creatives to try to discover a new generation of talent there. That's, I think India and Southeast Asia are particularly exciting for us. It's part of the reason why we picked Mauritius and Dubai to set up shop, because we're like, oh, these are great pivot points into those parts of the world. But the next thing that we're going to do is really, you know, plant a seed where we stand. And so when we did the first season, it was in January of last year. It was Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, Mauritius. Then in November, it went so well, we did a second season the same year. Wow. So then we added Tanzania, Ethiopia, Senegal, and Morocco. And looking at what was happening in Morocco, it was like, yo, this is crazy. And having grown up in the Middle East and having done a bunch of stuff related to hip hop in the region, we thought, wouldn't it be fly to do something here? So the next version of the mic that will launch after the third season of the Mic Africa will be the Mic MENA. And it'll be covering and exploring the Arabic speaking communities. And when you hear how these kids get down, it's crazy. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I'm thinking about, but we're looking at the whole world. You know, there's no stone that will ultimately be left unturned, but we're just starting where we at.
Yeah. Of course. No, it's amazing. A global disruption. That's the word, isn't it? The global disruption. And I was going to ask you, you know, what's next? I think you told me, but is there anything else you can share that's not embargoed or anything? Is there a film? Is there going to be a Netflix classic? I can just see it blowing up. Talk to me.
She read our secret documents. She knows the whole.
I know it.
There's, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming. We can't announce a lot of it yet, but there's some very good things that are happening. There's going to be a major announcement probably within the next, you know, month or two that is of significance, and then there will be a series of them coming out over the next 6 to 9 months. So things are growing fast for us. We're very, very happy. We have worked really hard to try to build something that was authentic and that was scalable, but also rooted in community. And I believe we've done that, and you're going to see the results.
That's incredible. And just before I let you go, because it's been a great time, guys, isn't it? They're just doing incredible things. I just want to get you to take a moment. I think it's always good to pause. And I want to think about, I think you guys have done incredible things. You've changed people's worlds, literally. You've gone into countries and discovered talent that would have been hidden, as they said, underneath. You know, they say the diamond in the rough. I wanted to find out about the warrior in you. I'm going to ask you to do something that's not been done before. Just to close your eyes for a second, okay? And I want you to think about something. You've been fighting for things you believe in. And I want you to think of and share a story where you were a warrior of the light, okay? And yeah, I want you to open your eyes and tell me when you've done this.
Well, if I think of myself as a warrior of the light, I think that the power that I would bring to the table is the ability to channel my voice and anyone's voice to massive amplification. Because the thing that's happened for me is I came from a humble background, but I had a world of opportunity from people who gave up a lot so that I could have more than they did. Yeah. And the way I was raised is that you don't just take your power and go off and shine alone. My mother taught me that if you have a light, you light it up that piece of the world where you are, and you shine for others and you light their candle. Whether you were gifted a lighter or a flamethrower, you help other people to shine brighter too. So my power would be to amplify all of those around me.
That's amazing, Derrick. Wow. Lucia, what's your War of the Light story?
Well, I would say my children have really made me a warrior of the light.
Amazing.
Even before they were born, it's why I was working for, to get Obama elected.
Wow.
And then since they've been born, everything I do is try to create the world that I want them to inherit. Yeah. And try to turn them into warriors of the light who also keep passing the torch forward and forward and forward to a better world. And I believe that music and creativity are key ways to do that, because most of the time they hurt no one and they uplift everyone.
I love that. That's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Well, how incredible. What's your War of the Light story? I'd love to hear. And it's been amazing to have you both on the show. I don't want to go. We've been talking and having a good chat.
I know, we just kicking it, what I'm saying? It's all good.
Yeah, we
I should have brought a little scissor
one day. Yeah.
It's been amazing. You guys are incredible what you're doing. And how can someone connect with you? What people listening, they want to be a part of your team. They want to be a part of the, bring back the mic. They want to do all of that. Well, how can they connect with you?
No doubt. So the simplest way is go to takebackthemic.com, takebackthemic.com, and check up, sign up. You can see the charts. You can see what's trending. You can discover we now have a little weekly roundup introducing hot new talents. Wow. And later this year, we're going to develop or deploy the next iteration of everything. And so getting involved now is going to be great for those who will then get to discover what's coming.
It's incredible. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for you guys. I think this is a name that we're going to see. You are going to win all the awards. That everything's going to happen for you guys. Because, it's not very special when you are doing something with purpose, and everything you're about, your company is about purpose. And that is incredible. So I have no doubt in my mind that there'll be a name that everyone will be talking about.
Amen and hallelujah from your lips to God's ears.
Amen.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining me today.